Hello, hello. Gonna do a quick mic check. Alrighty, sounds okay to me. So we can get started. All right, let's see. We'll see how this goes today. Hello, hello. Taking a break from the mission I am working on and going to try and work on some other things for a art fair that I have coming up. I'm going to try and get some pieces done specifically for that. Ready? Alrighty. So I actually have two panels here today. I'm going to try and paint two paintings at the same time. And the reason I'm trying to do two paintings at the same time is because um, they're both similar and both meant to be more in the vein of studies than, you know, very refined paintings. So we'll see if I can uh, hold back from over overworking them. It is something I struggle with. I have a tendency to, I don't want to say overwork my paintings, but I have a tendency to put a lot of work into them. And, you know, nothing wrong with that. But for these, that's not the intention. It's more like a study or a sketch. Um, yeah, that's more the intention here. The reason I'm doing two at the same time is they're the same kind of subject matter. They're a little different from each other, but there might be a lot of crossover with the colors. So I can, you know, uh, use the same colors for efficiency. I will do that. But we'll see. Maybe I'll end up doing them one at a time. So we'll see. I need to put out a little bit more of the miracle medium. One thing I hate about all nearly all the bottles of art materials, none of them are good at pouring. Like they're all bad at that. Like you always spill a little bit. I feel like they need to reinvent or use a different design for their stuff because you always end up spilling some. Alrighty. So this is my leftover from my palette from my last painting session. Um, and I am going to use some of this just for the like sketching stage because I don't really care that much about this sketching stage. I'll probably end up covering it up all anyways. So I'm not gridding this, but I do have the cross grid in it, just the center lines, and especially with a surface this small, um, you know, the that really is kind of like gridding it out. Not a perfect grid, but and it won't be very useful for very long because I will cover it all up. But for this part, it is pretty close to a full grid. The interesting thing too that I just realized is because I'm using two 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 reference images side by side, I can also reference off of the what's it called? The other image, essentially, as long as I keep the proportions the same. I've not thought about that before. Cool. Good start. Clean up the palette a little. I know you all can't see my palette today, but it needs a little bit of tidying up. So I'm going to do that really quick so that I have enough room to mix the colors I do need. The paint I have left over on my palette is from a portrait painting, um, which, you know, you can adapt to. Like these are two floral paintings I'm doing. There's overlap, maybe more than people might think, but at the same time, um, overlap is not the same as having all the colors I need mixed. To be clear, I am using my same palette. I'm just mixing. I'm just talking about the um, what's it called? The colors I'm mixing, not my base palette. That's staying the same. That I don't need to change for florals necessarily. I am I am curious about trying a new palette possibly at some point. Um, which it's kind of silly because it's essentially like a primary palette, but just slightly changed from my current palette. It's also a primary palette. Um, we'll see. There's also the potential of adding what's it called? Um, convenience colors. That's always an option. Haven't done that yet, but you never know. Maybe sometime soon I'll start doing that. There is nothing wrong with convenience colors, you know. All right, let me just get it here. All righty. I don't know if you can hear that. That was my phone. I apologize. Just checking to make sure everything's okay. I usually put it on silent, but um, I also have certain notifications that I check just in case, even while I'm streaming. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the backgrounds, fill it in a bit. Forget you can't see my palette like normal. Usually, for anyone who's new, usually you can see my palette on the side because a lot of the paintings I do are vertical. However, because there's two of them, the format is horizontal, so you can't see my palette right now. And this is true for any time I work horizontally. You can't really see my palette unless I shrink you know, the paintings quite a bit, which I'm reluctant to do because the paintings are the focus, in theory at least. Still need to fix this um, this easel I built. I built a little easel. Silly. I built an easel to go on my easel. I know it sounds silly. It is, but it's because I mount my palette. I attach it to my um, well, I put it upright vertically, and in order to do that, I had to figure out a way of positioning it so it's essentially grabbing onto a board that my easel is holding. So everything I put on my easel has to grab onto that board. I have to have like an easel within an easel. I know it's kind of silly. The only alternative though is to figure out a way of mounting um, my palette upright, which might be a thing to try at some point to figure out. But so far, this system works pretty well, except for that like double easel issue that I have. Also, I'm going to have to figure out a solution for my palette for when I do large paintings at some point. I've gotten so used to having my palette upright next to me, next to my painting. Not sure what I'm going to do when I start painting like really anything, you know, very large. One of the huge advantages of having your palette upright and next to your painting is the light. Um, the light that is falling on your painting is the same light that is falling on your palette, and that is a huge, like, just a huge benefit. Um, I can't stress that enough, how much of a benefit that is. And then the other thing is, uh, they're side by side, which makes it also easier to judge your colors appropriately. But the light being the same light is, I think, probably the biggest thing. Um, because if you don't have the same color light on your painting and your palette, it's going to make life very difficult for you when you're painting. And I know this from experience. I have done that. A little too dark, but yeah, it's too dark. Oh well, that too. Sometimes I don't do a good enough job of cleaning my brushes, and they have lingering color. That can happen sometimes. So this is why I wanted to paint them kind of at the same time, because the mixtures are so close to each other that it doesn't require a lot of change to, get one color to the next. They're not identical by any stretch, but, very, very close. Also, I'm hoping that having them side by side like this will um, help me keep the uh, effort proportion appropriate. Hey, Des, welcome. You're here just taking it easy? Oh, welcome and thanks for hanging out. Yeah, take it easy. No, hang out. Um, I am working on two paintings right now. They're 6 by 8, so on the no 6 by 9, on the small side. And I know you can't see my palette like normal. I just um, anytime it's a horizontal or landscape you know, um, orientation that I can zoom in closer, or I have to zoom in closer so you don't get to see the palette. How are you doing today, Des? Other than just chilling? Cleaning up my palette a little. Oh, Des is in Twitch now. You had a tiring few days, but doing okay. Good. The okay part, not the tiring part. All right. Let's get back into this. Oh yeah, Des, I'm glad you're doing all right. Um, I am trying to prepare for in a couple weeks. I have a craft fair that I'm what's it called, an art fair that I'm doing, and I just found out some information about it. So I am trying to prepare for it because I just found out that my current setup might not work for it, which is very uh, disturbing or frustrating. So I have to figure out something, um, something with that. So I've been stuck in research mode for the last couple days, trying to find more information about this stuff, but the information is fairly sparse, unfortunately, making everything uh, that much more difficult. May have just put down too much quinacridone. Yeah, too much quinacridone. Damn it. Quinacridone rose is, I won't say it's like phthalo, not as bad as phthalo, but it does hold up pretty well to phthalo. So it can have a little bit of the same kind of effect when with mixes. Okay. Sorry, I got a notification on my computer. I wanted to check, make sure everything was okay. Everything's fine. I just double checking. I don't know if this ever happens to you, but sometimes when I'm painting, I get distracted, and it happens at weird moments. Like I was looking at one thing, thinking about painting that. I go to mix color, thinking of something else, and then I'm mixing the wrong color from what I originally was planning. Uh, brain sometimes. Sorry if you heard my phone. I really need to put it on silent. I usually don't get this many notifications. You didn't hear it? Oh, that's good. That means my noise suppressor is working properly. So, for anyone who has never painted florals before, they can be deceptively difficult. Like, they don't look very difficult if you're not paying attention. But then once you start like really paying attention to all the details, ah, geez, they can be really, really challenging. We're about to get a bunch of cat visitors, I think, because it's getting very close to dinner. So they're just going to be in and out of here constantly. But not in the good way, because they're not going to be wanting to be held. They just want to be fed. Hi, Dresden. Yeah, you want me to pick you up? You want to say hi to everybody? I don't think you do. You just want me to feed you, don't you? Yeah, I know. Alrighty. Dresden. So naughty. He bit me. He, if he doesn't get the attention he wants, or he will bite, what's it called? He will bite the top of my feet. Oh, okay, Dresden, that hurts. Eh. Mm. Okay, Dresden, your tongue's so scratchy. You don't need to lick me. You're fine. Oh, his tongue hurts. Alrighty. You know what I think I'm going to do actually? I think I'm going to take a quick break. I have to feed the cats and the dog today. So I'm going to go just feed the dog real quick. And then later I'll take another break and feed the cats. So I'll do it in, what's it called? Quick, quick little things. Uh, yeah. I forgot I'm also going to run a commercial so that people don't get uh, intro reels or whatever they're called. So the cats really, really, really wanted to be fed. So I ended up feeding them, and I'm just waiting for them to finish eating because if I don't watch them while they're eating, they will eat each other's food. They will not stick up for themselves, and they'll just let the other one eat their own food. Why? I don't know. And I also have to leave the dog um, basically locked up while they're eating because he will come and eat their food. Come on, guys, you're so slow. Why are you so slow? Okay, one left. I don't know how she's suddenly the slowest eater, but whatever. All right, Misu, you're done. Good. All right, they're all done. All right. Hey, I am back. Well, mostly back. I just have to take some pills before I can start painting again. My neck is starting to bug me, and I can tell I'm gonna be stuck with a migraine if I don't what's it called? Get to it quickly. Alrighty, let's get back to the painting. Alrighty. Yeah, can't really see a difference there. Oh well, I try. I'll add more to that later. Not that I'm giving up on, just giving up on trying to get that differentiating color in there at the very moment. Just clarifying in case anyone was like, "Oh my God, he just doesn't care." Oh, that's silly of me. Missed. I missed one here. Alrighty. I think that's a fairly decent start. Let me make sure. Okay, everything's good on the stream side. Alrighty. I'm gonna use the brayer a bit for this one, at least for the beginning. For a couple of reasons. Um, the biggest one though is I want to soften out the this early stage. You know, that's the biggest reason I'm using the brayer right now. There are probably other ways to soften this up that I've never tried, like getting some kind of mop brush or something, and I think that probably softened things up a bit. Um, yeah, and of course uh, you can use other things to just smear paint around, for sure. Having said that, the brayer doesn't just smear it around. The way it functions is a little different. And this thing is moving around a lot today. That is dirtying it up a little more than I wanted to. Oh well. Trying to clean it in between rolls, but you know, it only cleans so much uh like that. Not sure if this actually improved things, but it's at least the basis for what I will do, and there's a lot of artifacts and stuff I can work with. So, all right. One of the things when using phthalo blue you have to be careful of it, well, the big thing is how strong it is, but not just in your mixes. When you put it down, it is so bright and so saturated that it can really make all your colors appear dull in contrast. So, for instance, here I really want the you know the flowers to pop. So I'm not gonna punch up the brightness and the saturation of the background too much because I want the flowers to come forward more. This says I stepped away to prepare food. I'm back now. It does. Welcome back. I also stepped away for a minute. I had to feed the animals, and after that, I used the brayer real quick, and now I'm trying to bring things back to where they were. Um, well, not exactly to where they were, obviously, because if they were where they needed to be perfectly, I wouldn't have used the brayer. And I was talking about the dangers of phthalo blue. I mean, we all know it's such a strong color when mixing, but it's not just when mixing. When you know, when you put it down, you have to be careful not to let it go on too strong, because, for instance, in this painting right now, I don't want the background to, you know, uh, like outmatch the or dull the flowers. If I put down like really, really strong blue, you know, how intense that blue is can overshadow the flowers and make everything appear kind of dull. Also, it can absolutely, um, lead into the colors that you put on the, um, canvas if they're close enough to each other. I've had that happen. That was frustrating. So, if you put too much of it down, you can absolutely run into that problem. So this one, uh, is gonna have essentially an invented background, just some color because, um, I had to edit it so that way to get the crop I wanted. So on this one, I'm gonna try and create a little bit of a gradient as it goes. Oh, Des, I have been watching Portrait Artist of the Year. Thank you for sharing those links and watching it. I'd seen part of that season, but not all of it. So, yeah. Yeah, they have some good ones on there. Yeah, yeah. Of course, I never 100% agree with the judges, but that's to be expected. Not surprising. You don't always agree with them either? Yeah, for sure. And of course, it is also hard to know what your opinion would be if you saw the things in person. You never know, that might shift your opinion as well because, you know, it's definitely different to see it on screen. And of course, there's also other, like, what I would call, like, politics stuff involved where it's like not politics, but industry stuff, right? Like they're making a show, so they're gonna, there are definitely things that they're going to favor for reasons other than purely for the art of it. Like sometimes they'll favor people who are more, um, or they can commercialize easier and stuff like that. They also tend to lean young because for whatever reason, they tend to try and get the people who are younger. Uh, I've noticed that for sure. And there's also like just a general kind of style that they kind of go for. Uh, Usually, like they will avoid certain styles a little more than others, and so on. And I also think that there's another thing where like they from week to week will kind of change their priority. Like if they put through too many like quote unquote classical painters, then you know they'll kind of overcorrect after a week or two, if kind of thing. That says, yeah, they are thinking about what might be sellable. Yeah, absolutely. And then for some reason they love printmakers. Yeah, they do love printmakers. I think there's a lot of things that they like that um, they sometimes fall into into the trap of like they don't know exactly how some things work, and so it's more mysterious to them, so they like it more. I've noticed that a few times, um, where it's like they've had some pen and ink people who do very, you know, uh, like very common things with pen and ink that you see in like anime, or not anime, in manga and in comic books. They're not familiar with them. So to them, it's like, oh my God, what is this newfangled thing that he created and came up with? And it's like, yeah, not trying to say anything about the guy's art, but like, that's not new. New to you doesn't mean it's new. Yeah, they do love printmakers for some reason. I wonder if it's just because it's like one of those things that really isn't, you know, um, like it really is something that isn't doesn't have any practical application anymore. Um, or maybe not any, but barely any practical application anymore with print printing capabilities, um, so I wonder if that's one of the reasons they like it so much. Like, very traditional in a way. Gonna need some cleanup to help describe what's going on here. All right, I'm out of yellow. Oops, I have to put some more out. And while I stop my recording, let's do a quick stretch. Alrighty. Make sure everything's in focus. Looks like it. All right. And I think about time maybe I'm rushing it, but I'm going to move on to my smaller brush for a little while because starting to get into details here. And the big brush is, I feel like might be too large for that. All right, let's see. Did a floral that, oh, that says, did a floral for that acrylic online class? It's crappy. I'm sorry, Des. I meant to check out that class. I was busy and forgot to. Well, you know what they say. Every about every good artist, they have a garage or a shed or a box or whatever, however you want to phrase it, full of bad paintings. So it's not, it's not like doing a bad painting is, the end of the world. We all do them a lot. The next class today was a landscape and it focused on values. Uh, I mean, that is important. Values are always good to focus on it. Although a landscape, what kind of landscape? What did they give you the reference image or do you have to provide it? Because some landscapes do not have good value systems, um, you know, for that kind of subject matter. Like if you're doing, a large area that has directional light that describes the topography, like a mountain or hill or something along those lines, or a canyon, then the value structure can be super, super important. And if value is still important in a landscape, but I don't know it's the best. Um, I don't know that that's the best subject necessarily to teach it. Uh, yes, on the reference image, they want us to paint it grayscale and then paint it again with colors, whichever we want, as long as they are the right values. Oh, that's whatever. Okay. I mean, yeah, that, you know, um, in theory, that should work no problem. Actually, there's a guy who did a YouTube video recently that I started watching and I meant to finish, but I didn't finish it yet, where he paints with a light that doesn't let you see um, color. So he's painting, uh, without being able to distinguish what colors he's using. So in theory, it's just values. You're in the middle of watching that one, yeah, yeah. So am I. It's good. I think it's a. I will say I think he may have made it a little too long. It drags a little bit. If I'm giving critique, but that's just me. Maybe I am the odd one out. Um, but he's a really good painter. Um, so yeah, I want to see how it turns out, but I'm fairly confident I know how it's going to turn out. Although, I should probably check. But the thing is, if you take a photo, like the easiest way to check this is take a photo into Photoshop or some other program, right? Take a photo, turn it grayscale, and then put a layer on top of it and paint random colors everywhere that are set to colorize, right? It's fine. I mean, it looks like you did exactly what I just said, like it's not like it looks real, but it doesn't look wrong. It says I'm at 24 minutes and I found it too draggy too, so I went to do other things. I'll get back to it. Yeah, that was my plan too. But yeah, I've done that experiment with Photoshop before, and not a surprising effect. We'll put it that way. Also, the other thing too that I think is a little, I don't want to say misleading about his video, but is a little like I question that video just a little bit, and I do mean very, very. This is very, very nitpicky. I'm not. really, critiquing it, but I'm just like, "Man, I would even if I covered up the names of my paints, I would know exactly which tube of paint it was just without I don't need to see the name, you know? I just like, I know which ones are which because I only have, like, 5 that I use regularly, so I know exactly which one's which. It wouldn't be difficult to tell, you know? I mean, it would be hard once you start painting and once you start mixing, that's a different story, you know? But, like, as far as the tubes go, I'm like, "Ah, come on, what's" I'm gonna know immediately. So I thought that was a little, I get it. I get what he's trying to do. I'm like, "Yeah, whatever." I don't know that is I find that all that convincing, but whatever. Not a big part of it for sure. Okay, Des, no worries. Hey, Donnelly, welcome. How you doing? Sorry I missed your stream on Thursday. Hope it went well. Donnelly says, "Love the colors." Well, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Donnelly Des just went to check on her food, so she probably will not see your message right away. How have you been, Donnelly? Welcome back, Des. Donnelly says hello, by the way. He's over in the other chat. I spend enough time here. Time to move on here, and then back and forth. Trying to keep it light between the two. Oh, I think I forgot to change the title on Twitch, didn't I? Just remembered that. Probably says Sunday stream, doesn't it? Does that work? The bot isn't working. Of course, of course. I'll change it in a minute. Donley says, "What's going on? Sorry, I couldn't hear over stuff I'm doing." Oh, I was just saying hi. How you doing? What's up with you? What are you doing? How was your stream on Thursday? Sorry, I missed it. Yeah. Oh, I see. This is informing me that mods can do a lot of cool things if I have Nightbot set up, which I do not have Nightbot set up. Donley says stream was okay. I was interviewed by the music artist they did their t-shirt art for. Oh, awesome. That sounds great. Did you record it? Are you going to turn it into a YouTube video? It's for the blog she started to journal her music journey. That's cool. Oh, wait a second. Donnelly says, so it's all text? It was kind of neat. Haven't really talked about my start in art or other than a little bits here and there when I stream. Yeah, that sounds cool. You can always, what's it called? Um, you know, uh, turn it into like you could read it, read it out or something over like a speed paint. Could do that. That'd be an interesting vid. Yeah. See, you should do it. If you need to have what's it called? Um, if you need to have a voice for the artist, you could always use text to speech, for their questions. I've thought about trying to use text to speech instead of my voice for videos for because editing my audio is one of the things that takes a ton of time for me. Recording and editing it takes uh, a lot of time. So I did think about doing like speech to text or something. With AI, I could theoretically do it in such a way that you know, it would be even in my own voice. I could train it, but I just that, that's too far for me. I don't want to do that type of stuff. It would be too impersonal at that point, I feel. Donnelly says, "Yeah, I've heard of that." Yeah, and to be clear, I don't like sometimes, I know people will use it to like, if the microphone, let's say, glitches out on a single word or something like that, you can kind of plug it that way, or if there's some loud noise on a particular word, but you know what the word is, you can recover it that way and stuff like that. I'm fine with that, but the idea of doing the whole thing, just writing a script and then, having the computer essentially read it instead of doing the voiceover, I don't know. I know, I I know with DaVinci Resolve, you can train it on your voice, and then it can turn other voices into your voice or anyone's voice. Like you can do that, and it's all done locally on your computer. The program, the AI. So stupid to call it AI, but runs locally. And they put a warning like, "Don't use it if you don't have the rights to it," blah, 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 but there are, like, legitimate reasons for wanting that, if you record, let's say, yourself in one location, right, and then you go to another location on a different mic and you record it and you sound completely different. Well, using train it on your voice and then turn the new recording to sound like your old recording, and there you go, right? Like, it's an easy fix for a, um, you know, for a real problem, and, like, I think that's great. Um, so, yeah, but it doesn't read out text. It turns one voice into another voice, is what it does. Uh, Donnelly says it not being done locally was a sticking point for me. Yeah, because then they have that information and they can do whatever they want with it. No, this is done locally. So it's just, if you know, mm, that's it. Like you just do it on your, which is great because, if you're working on something, the thing that kills me about some of these things is like there are companies and, businesses and stuff that I've done work for and everything's NDA. I'm like, how can I sign an NDA and use this software? Like what am I gonna do? Like if they use what's it called? If they take all my data, like, eh, I've always been very wary, for instance, when I'm using Photoshop, there's some things in Photoshop that it tells you it's sending to the cloud to do certain like calculations, you know? And I'm always really nervous about those because I'm like, ah, I can't use any, and I'm talking like filters. This isn't even like crazy, like, AI nonsense. I'm just talking about like filters, but they have their neural filters that they like, send to the cloud for more computing power. I'm just like, this makes me uncomfortable. Oh, there's a bot seller. Ban. Where's the ban? Ban. Okay, Donnelly. Sounds good. This one's gonna be a pain in the ass, I can tell, to do all the, like, interior of the flower. Still still working on it, but there's so much little detail in there. I'm definitely not gonna do all the little detail, like, all of it, there's no way. Just has to read as a lot of little detail. So, one of the things I'm doing right now is as I paint through this, my brush is getting dirty because 'cause I'm painting into other colors, and what I'm trying to do, instead of just cleaning up my brush, is look for places that have the colors that my brush now, you know, has contaminated in it, so I can put those colors down in other places. And there's only so much you can do that reasonably, but, a little here and there. It's a nice way of not wasting paint and of getting really, good color mixes. Like I said, there's a limit to that, and after a while it becomes too much, too messy, but a little here and there. A good good way of keep preserving colors in paint. All right, let's go into some of the dark again to balance everything out. feel like neglected them a little. All right. I think getting the darks back in will help with, the contrast and color perspective. Welcome back, Donnelly. I assure you I didn't do anything cool while you were gone. Donnelly says, hold up, you kept painting. I can tell because it's looking cooler than before. You did cool stuff and I missed it. Well, yes, I did keep painting. That I did do. So, Donnelly, what do you have planned for your stream tomorrow? Donnelly says, might be working on drawings I previously started. There's a possibility I might be able to show at Comic Con at the end of the month. At a Comic Con at the end of the month. Nice. That's awesome. If they have any no-shows. So whose brake lines do we need to cut? Just just let me know. If they don't have any no-shows, like if everybody does show up, you should still go in case anyone gets kicked out for being an AI artist. Just so you're ready, so you're there. Not a bad strat. Yeah, people, you never know. Honestly, okay, this is, I was joking a little about that. I was also going to make the joke that you could just accuse someone of being an AI artist and get them kicked out and take their place. But that joking aside, um, I've done shows where there actually were like every either no one showed up, either someone didn't show up who was supposed to, um, or booked it poorly. So there were definitely like some empty spots here and there. I've been at shows like that, and you know, you you don't know. Like they probably knew about no shows, like certain no shows, but I bet that there were no shows that they weren't, you know, they didn't get any warning and they just didn't show up the day of the convention, is what I'm getting at, trying to say. So it might be worth being ready for it, kind of thing, to a degree. Like, I'm not saying spend a bunch of money, too much money getting ready for it, because that's, obviously an issue. But yeah, yeah, there was a video that came out a little while ago about some some people getting kicked out of one of the conventions for misrepresenting their art and selling AI art. And it was really messed up because um, the way that they did it is one of the people, she is a legit artist, but um, her her boyfriend and I think her father showed up and were selling in her name. So they were doing all the work so she didn't have to like show up, and they were selling her stuff and their stuff was clearly AI. And I think some of her stuff was AI too. They just used her non-AI stuff to get approved for for the convention. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, she has AI stuff as well. Donley says, "I'm not sure, this is a smaller convention, so unfortunately they might be a bit slack on that type of stuff. I'm not sure though. Hope they aren't." Well, so here's to be clear, what happened in this case, they got a booth and everything, and then people started accusing them and reporting them to the convention, and then they took a day, I think, roughly, and then they kicked them out of. I guess they wanted. I don't know why it took them so long, but it took them like a day, I think, and then they kicked them out of the convention, and then the table was just empty. Okay, all right, Des, no worries. So they might not do a good job of it because it's a smaller convention, but if people see it, and notice it, they will report them. Artists don't, are not going to tolerate that crap, especially because it's, well, I mean, it depends where they're situated, right? But if they're an artist alley, yeah, a lot of artists are going to make us think about that if an AI artist is an artist alley, you know? Lee says, I want to be that cool being an AI tattletale. Yeah. You know, here's the thing. I am very cautious of, definitively saying someone is an AI artist or not. I'm very cautious about that. But uh, sometimes you can easily tell, and some people hide it better. But um, I do enjoy investigating it sometimes. It can be fun. I don't know if you've seen this new trend. Um, I am not discovering this. I have seen videos on YouTube of people, exposing this. But the new trend of some of these AI artists now is to make is to make speed paints with the AI art, and the way that they do it is they people are calling them eraser artists because what they do is they take hold on a second. Donley says, it would make me feel better if people would say AI artists and do air quotes with your fingers when you say AI artist. Yeah, AI artists. Yeah, yeah, for sure. I get that. So what they're calling them eraser artists because what they do is they take a piece of AI, they take an AI image, or honestly, you can do this. You don't need to use AI images for this. You can steal other people's images too. Like this isn't AI specific. It's just because of the influx of AI, more people are doing it now with this. Um, but you just take an image and you paint over the image in layers, doing color selections, and you paint over it with blobs. So like you do a big blob for the whole head, and then you do another blob for like the hair, and you do another blob. You're basically doing the painting in reverse almost, right? But you're just doing the blob part, right? So you just like you paint the face in like layers, and then what they do is they go and erase those layers, and it looks like they're, you know, painting they're making the painting. It's a way of scamming a speed paint because you can do it in video, right? Like you can just um, record yourself doing it, and it looks like you're doing a speed paint. But then people notice, wait a second, it looks like you're painting, like you're doing stuff and you're painting, but your tool's on the eraser. Why is your tool on the eraser, but you're putting down color? That doesn't make any sense, you know? I mean, don't get me wrong, the eraser tool is very helpful in a painting, but you can distinguish between like what they're doing and what tool they're using. And it's like, it doesn't look right. So people started catching on. So even when people do speed paint, you have to be cautious now. You can't trust the speed paint. I suppose, I think in my Discord, I'm going to make a channel for videos specifically because I come across all these videos and I don't really share them. And It's not like, "Oh, you guys gotta watch everything I watch," but stuff like that, I feel like some people would be interested in it. So, I think I'm gonna make a channel like that or something. That says, "Yeah, I'd like that too so I can share the things I find." Yeah. Only says I did that in my Discord. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Donley, have you made your Discord into a public, community, or is it still a private technically a private Discord? Because I'm debating if I should turn my Discord into a public community, Discord. Yours is invite only? Got it. Oh, this is exciting. I passed the 900, subscribers, for my YouTube channel. I need to put out some videos. Like I said, I've been slammed lately, and I'm trying to get a backlog. But yeah, I passed the 900. That says I'd be afraid of bots. Yeah, but like I get that, but like you know, uh, bigger communities have that. Conley says, "Oh yeah, I see 902." Hey, I didn't say I passed it by a lot. I just said I passed it. Okay, yes, 902. But yeah. Um, but yeah, if you turn it into a community, you do get certain like moderator tools that normal Discords I think don't have. I don't know. I'm on the fence about it. I could start a new Discord, and just make it like my community Discord for, my YouTube and everything. Or I can do it the opposite route and make a private Discord that's only for friends, and then, this one will turn into like my open community thing. I don't know. I don't know how it works. I don't know if most streamers Discords are, you know, open or not. And I will say this, like there's also like other people's Discords have like all this other stuff built into it. Like they have like, you guys know this, or you've tried this when you join a Discord and you have to like answer questions, and you have to select your role and all this other stuff. Like, my Discord does not have any of that. Yeah, I'm not sure about some of the Discord technical stuff. I know I've avoided dealing with it. There's all these bots that can do all this stuff. It's really clever, and the amount of stuff you can do with it. But, I also, like, don't have the time for it, Like, this last week, I spent a bunch of time looking into building out, I have what's it called? I have a convention, not a convention, but a art fair coming up, and they use larger tents than the, like, normal tents. So now I have to figure out a solution for how to, like, exhibit my stuff there. And so I've been, like, spending time researching that. I don't have time to research that and how to do Discord and it's like, I don't know. There's a limit to everything. You do have it set, so you have to give the people a role. Oh, that's nice. I don't have that yet. I need to actually, I've talked about this before, but I do need to come up with a role for all the people who were like who were around before I hit my 1,000 subscribers. I thought that would be a cool role to give people. But your Discord's also way more active than mine. Is the idea to sell these as a set? Not as a set, no. The idea is to have some smaller paintings at the art fairs that are not portraits specifically, um, because some people don't want portraits of people they don't know. Sounds silly to me, but whatever. Um, and then at a lower price point to make it easier for some people. Um, the reason I'm doing them at the same time is purely because, like, I knew that there would be a ton of crossover with with the colors, so I can just bounce between them. And then also what's it called? I want to try and make these more like what I would call like a sketch versus full on paint, like a full on painting. If that makes sense. So the idea is to maybe not finish it as detail as I might in other circumstances. Oh yeah, mixing uh will save you some time. Great idea. Yeah. And also the bouncing between them also keeps me from spending too much time on one or the other, you know? Um, so I think it also will help with that. But yeah, I was also thinking of doing some pet portraits, some quick ones, you know, since I have a lot of photos of cats, you know, so might as well do some paintings of cats, you know? I mean, maybe I'll do some other animals, but you know, the like easy thing is to do cats because I have cats, obviously. If nothing else, you might get some commissions from people seeing you that you are willing to paint them. Yeah, absolutely. I will absolutely try and get commissions as well. I still, I hate this. I just too many things. I was planning on doing. I talked to this, or doesn't matter. Basically I talked to this person who does like um, marketing stuff, and you know, she had a recommendation of how to like launch a commissions thing. So I was trying to put all that material together so I could like launch my open commissions, you know, instead of just saying like open commissions and just blah, you know, doing that. The idea was to market it a bit and hype it up so that I can get, you know, more people. I'm not good at marketing. I think like some of it seems real silly to me, but you know, if like if that's what it takes, right? I just have been dragging my feet on it because I've just been, you know, busy with everything else. So, but yeah, right now my big concern, like I'm trying to figure out, I have to figure something out is how am I going to display my painting at all? Like, what am I going to do about that? Kind of a big deal. It's going to be real hard to sell anything if I can't display them somehow. It says, what is the setup? So it's it's going to be uh in a tent, but it's not the normal like 10 by 10 um you know fair tent. It's a larger fair tent. So I think it's a 20 by 20 or 20 by 30 or 40. I don't know how much, but it's like it's a lot bigger. So the internal setup, the way I would the way I would set it up with the 10 by 10 is I hang like a net wall, like a it's you know like a um It's just like a screen or something like that. It's a heavy duty screen. I hang that on the top and, what's it called? The legs of the tent, and then I can hang my paintings from it, you know, from that, net wall or sunscreen or whatever you wanna call it. That's how I do it. Um, but I don't know that I'll be able to hang my walls like that because of the setup. So I'm just like, crap. What do I do?" Yeah. I don't know if that made sense or not. Hopefully, I described it, you know, well enough. If you have a wall there are 3M adhesive hooks, that don't leave a mark. No, there's no wall. That's the problem, there's no wall. It's out it's a tent, it's like a if you've ever been to like an art fair or a craft fair or even even a farmer's market, they have those, um, they have those just pop-up tents. It's like 10 feet by 10 feet. That's like the common one. So the way that's what I normally set up. That's what I normally set up with. So what I do is, like I said, I take this, like it's like one of those sunshade, you know, tarps. It's a tarp that has like holes in it essentially. Um, and I tie it to the top part and to the legs. And that's how you know, that's how I set it up. And then I use little hooks that go through the holes in the tarp. Um, but this is a much bigger tent, and I don't know where I can hang stuff from and how it will hang, stuff like that. I'm just like, I don't know. Yeah. So a little nervous about that, trying to figure that out. Family says, "I got you, no wall." Yeah, yeah. I'm looking into possibly buying like there's a few different there's a few different systems uh that use pipes, you know, and then they sell pipes and they sell like the attachments and stuff like that. And I'm wondering if I can do that and like build out something. I know I've seen people use PVC pipes when they're like really trying to do everything on a super low budget, and that might be the way to go, but it doesn't look very good, you know? I'm not trying to be like, it just doesn't, right? And, you know, um, and then if I wanna try and make the PVC pipes look better, you can, but it's more effort. And then the other thing about it is, um, that PVC pipe is, um, you know, isn't very strong structurally, so there's only so much weight, that you can put on it and so on. And it'll start to sag under its own weight you know, if you go too far with it too. Which is to be expected. It's not, a building material for that type of building. I also thought about wood, but I'm worried that wood will either be too heavy or too uh, unrefined unless I like really spend money on it. But I don't want to do that. Anyways, yeah, I'll figure something out. By the way, Don Lee, how are you liking um, the Dresden Files? You still reading it? The inside of this, so ridiculous. Ah, darn it. Got paint on the side of my paintbrush, not the bristles, the other part, the handle. By the way, anyone watching who paints on an easel, if there are anything about easels that you don't like that bother you, um, like any gripes you might have about easels, please let me know if you want, because I'm kind of designing an easel, trying to come up with ideas, and I can make them better. Let me know. And don't say cheaper because I get it. I know, I know, cheaper always, but there's a limitation on that one. Really trying to get you know, the petals now on the inside so that it makes some sense. Because it's a little messy, and I want to clean it up a little bit. I think that's starting to come together. That one. It's not perfect, but these are meant to be sketches, not more. Maybe I'll work on the other ones a little bit, but I think for now this one's kind of done. Like I said, it's supposed to be a sketch, not, not supposed to take 10, 20 hours to work on these. All right. Coming up on the 3 hours now. I think I need to take a break, let my eyes rest a little for these paintings before I get back to them. I think I'm going to call it a day for the stream. Hopefully, you all enjoyed the change of pace from the norm. Um, yeah, I think I'll try and do a few more of these. Anyways, thank you all for hanging out. Don Lee, check out Don Lee on Twitch at Don Leo. Um, and thanks everyone for hanging out. Appreciate it. And we'll be back on Sunday. Yeah, that's all I got for now. Have a good one. Have a good night. See you soon. Yeah, see ya. Bye.